What are you wearing?
The hockey player. Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
Hawaii Blues fan, we're bleeding blue with you.
Let's go Blues. Let's go Blues. Let's go Blues.
BlueNote Hockey Fan Report. Aloha. Damn chair. Aloha and welcome to the BlueNote / Hockey Fan Report. It is a Wednesday night. Actually, it's Wednesday afternoon here, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, as I decided to do a show for you guys. I was going to do one yesterday, but Apple TV screwed me over a little bit. I am a big Ted Lasso fan, and yesterday was the last episode of Ted Lasso. Well, supposedly last episode. I think I know what they're going to do, and I can talk about that later, but so normally the episodes come on at 3 o'clock in Hawaii, and that's what I thought was going to happen. So I was like, okay, I said I was going to do a show, but I remembered that. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to wait because I want to, I stopped because I wanted to watch this. Then I realized that they weren't going to put it on until 6 my time. So I had time to do a show, but I was like, it's too late now. So I decided to do it for today. I had promised a few people I would do one. So I am here. Let's say hi to a few people. We got Matt. Oh, excuse me. Matt Lowe. My mortal enemy, Matt Lowe. Jason is here. Matt Lowe says Florida in 5. I'm going to talk a little bit about this. And it's something that's connected to the Blues. And I think a lot of people don't understand it. Shockey says, good you didn't. I wasn't home yet. Yeah, happy 50th. I think it was 50th or 54th or whatever it is. Happy birthday, Shockey. I'm glad you enjoyed your weekend. Glad you're home. Yes, Jason, I finally decided to do a show. Yeah, John, just kind of the way things played out. 45. Sorry, Shocks. If you have not watched Ted Lasso, I strongly recommend binge watching it. It is an amazing show. It's not as much about soccer as you think it is. It is much more a human comic dramedy, I guess you could call it. The final episode I cried. I actually cried. I had tears in my eyes. That was full of Easter eggs, and I absolutely love stuff like that. The writing was absolutely amazing. You RDO Harv one, don't get on my list. I get on everybody's list. So what's new? John Penner, hey buddy, how's it going? John, I am working on trying to find us a Airbnb in our budget. I'm sure I will. I need to do a little more driving and we'll get there. But I'm looking forward to seeing you in Byron on, you know what, John, while you're here, maybe you can help me remember. What days did we say we were going to stay in the Airbnb from? Because I can't remember if it was the 7th to the 13th or the 7th to the 14th. So that's, I kind of got to remember that day. Are we checking out on Sunday or Monday? And that's what it comes down to. So for those of you who don't know what's going on, I served on a ship called the USS Mobile Bay. Now, there is some importance to this, and I think somebody already knows why this is important. I want to see if anybody out there knows why my service on the Mobile Bay is important and important to this show. I think Shock knows, right? I want to see if Shocky pulls it up. 7 to the 13th. Okay. All right. Actually, John, we may have to extend that to the 14th, or at least pay to the 14th, because we get a bigger discount. So I got to double check that. I got to look on that. We'll figure it out. But I don't know. For me, flying out on a Monday might be better than the Sunday. So I may have to look at that and just stay that extra day if need be. We'll kind of work on that. I am not saying I know. I'm not saying I know. Well, okay. Well, no. I get it that it's being retired, but there's something important about that ship and this show and my connection to the Warriors. Let me see if that gives it away. Right? Let's see if that gives it away. Right? I may have to get up and get something out here in a second because I put all my stuff away. But let's see if someone gets it now. I know that gave it away. Yeah, I know that gave it away. Right? That's it. The Mobile Bay was the USS Mobile Bay Guided Missile Cruiser 53. I got to remember right. 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 50. It was the 7th in the class, but 2nd in the flight. Right? So what that means is, and I'm giving them a little Navy lesson. So when a ship starts, the first ship in the class is the name of the class. Well, in this case, the first ship in this class was the Ticonderoga, the USS Ticonderoga. From Ticonderoga, which was 47, until 51, the ships were all the same, pretty much the same. There were small changes here and there with each ship, but for the most part, they were the same. Those ships had something called a twin-arm bandit, or I forget what it was. I think it was a Mark 52 or Mark 53 missile launcher. And that missile launcher had 2 arms on it that could move around. And that's how it would straighten up. The missiles would come up. It would drop, move around, and then fire. Gloria's been around the show for a while, actually for about 7 or 8 months. I met Gloria before one of my St. Louis trips, my last trip in December, and Gloria's kind of helps me with my mental health. So she's a good friend, and she's been watching the show since November-ish, I think. She's been here and around. This Flight 2, which was the USS Bunker Hill, CG-52, was the first ship that had what they call VLS, vertical launching system, a forward and an aft one. The Mobile Bay was the 2nd of that flight, the 7th of the Tychos, but the 2nd of the flight. And what's really interesting is, I did pay a little attention to it, and I like what Doug Armstrong did there. I don't think anybody really mentioned it, but he should have gotten called out for it. He took Huso. He took Blaze. Who else did he take? He took 4 Blues with him. 3 Blues with him and himself. And then you had a couple Blues on other teams. But yeah, for the most part, they all did really well. And where are we at here in this? Chris is saying Vegas in 6 or 7. I will talk about that here in a little bit. Do I still have the damn cast? No, I don't have a cast. I have a brace. My arm is still broken, unfortunately. It is healing slowly. They have me on this thing called a bone simulator. And it's been helping, but for another 2 months. and then they've slowed down they started some of my, Hoffer. Okay, that's right. Hoffer, Neighbors, Hoffer, Neighbor, Blay, and then Armstrong. So there you go. That was the ones. He put guys on, he sent guys to the teams that he felt needed it, right? You look at Prunovich with Team USA, he needed it. Hoffer needed it. Neighbors needed it. Blay needed it. I love all the Blues fans that are, I'm so glad Sammy Blay's back. Sammy Blay this, Sammy Blay that. I'm not there with you guys. I'm not. I mean, I was in the St. Louis I Bleed Blue group. There's a gentleman, and I'm not going to mention names because I don't do that. Invite him on the show, but he couldn't come on today, but he might be able to. And he had put a post in, and I forget what it was about. It was about Barbashev and how well Barbashev was doing in Vegas. Well, and then everybody going, talking about that. Well, I appreciate that, Gloria. I appreciate it greatly. Can I say something? I'm not a violent man, but until someone puts Ben on his ass and learn from his bullies. Yes, I don't think he's going to learn anyway. So, well, the thing is, John, is what they had to do with my bone is they had to take my bone and completely break it. And in one area, it was a very large break. So basically had to take a large section of bone out. And that is the section that is taking much longer to heal up. And when someone has a compound fracture, those take a lot longer to heal than a simple fracture. And basically, I originally had a simple fracture, but because of the way it did not getting set right, it allowed for that. Right? You guys are getting me all lost off a track here. Vegas goes up 3-1. Florida gains steam to enforce Game 7. Vegas refuel. I don't think that's going to happen, Chris. I really don't. And there's something. So what I was getting back to, we were having that conversation about Barbashev, and I kept bringing up, that Barbashev could have done what he's doing now here. He wasn't given the opportunity. The system didn't fit. I mean, what we did here took, God, who was, I want to say it was either Jamal Mayers or Chris Butler. I think it was Jamal Mayers that came on my show and said he had the skill coached out of him. That is exactly what Berube has done to our young guys. He has tried to coach the skill out of them. And this conversation we had was all about how, about the forecheck. Now, if you want to look at Florida and go, oh my God, they got this great forecheck. Okay, that's fine. But that's not why we're in the finals right now. Their forecheck has zero to do with them being in the finals right now. And I want to know if anybody knows why I believe that. So I'm saying right here and right now, the reason that it has nothing to do with their forecheck. I know they've had a good one. I'm not sure what you're saying there, Russ, but welcome back, bud. Saying Vegas. Matt Lowe, I think you got, but okay. But what else? What is the proof of this? There is something that is proof of this. There is something that is proof that their forecheck is not why they're at where they're at. Oh, no problem there, Russ. No problem. John, you're close. You're kind of close. Right? You're kind of close. But there's definite proof to why the forecheck is not the reason that Florida is in this Florida is not in this series, or not here, right? And there's absolute prime proof of this, right? And we'll see if someone gets it. Not really. Not really. You're on there, but you're not. You're missing something really important that happened in the very first series. Nope. 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 Okay, you guys are missing something. There is proof that everything else that you're talking about doesn't matter. None of it. Something happened in the first series that changed and proves the point that their forecheck, their passing, all of that didn't matter. All of it. And Matt Lowe was close. He's very, very close when he said Bobrovsky. Very, very, very close. They didn't play the Jets. Right? I'm talking about the Panthers. Thank you, John. So what I'm talking about, in the first series against Boston, they were down 3-1. And the coach pulled their goalie and put Bobrovsky in. And then, right in front of their backup goalie, called him out. Said it's your fault that we're in this position. Bobrovsky gets in there with a big old vote of confidence and shuts everything down. And he's basically done it since then. Right? You go back and look at that first round, you could see that Boston's up 3-1. Florida wins game 5, 4-3 in Florida. Or no, in Boston. Then they win a shootout 7-5 in Boston. Or no, in Florida. And then they come and have that great overtime victory 4-3. This is where you see them gaining confidence in Bobrovsky. Now, you could sit there and say, well, wait a minute, Bobrovsky's numbers weren't that great, da-da-da-da. I get it. I understand where you're coming from. But then, go into that next series. Right? Let's go into that series against the Maple Leafs. Right? Maple Leafs didn't stand a chance in this series. Florida 4-2, Florida 3-2, Florida 3-2 in OT. Toronto wins one 2-1. Florida wins 3-2 in OT. You don't win those games with a forecheck. You win those games with goaltending. You don't win one goal games. And I think that in the 4-2 there might have been an empty netter. So you don't win those games without goaltending. The forecheck isn't what brought those games. It was goaltending. And then you go back to the sweep of Carolina. You know, it's Bobrovsky. It's not the forecheck. Right? And that is why I think everyone's missing. Everyone who thinks that the Blues' problem is defense, than everyone else. Then I think when you look at the Blues and you go defense, you're missing the problem. You're missing the problem, and it's defense is a surface issue. It's a surface crack. It's not the deep down crack that's going to break our blade. I've been watching Forged in Fire. Defense is a surface crack that the more you grind it and the more you grind it back and the more you grind it, or even if you just fix it, that major crack down the spine is still there and the blade's going to snap in half. Right? Think about the Blues this season. And if you look at their numbers, one of the biggest things that stood out to me was how different the offense was. How it went from scoring so many goals. They dropped, almost, I think it was 3/4 of a goal a game. You add that 3/4 of a goal of a game back with the same defense, and you're in the playoffs. You're in the playoffs. Now, if you had the same defense of last year, you still might have missed the playoffs because it was so close to you still would have been you would have been a 500 team or worse, where you were anyways. She said she was, but I guess she forgot. I don't know, Jason. I really don't know. Right? Yeah. Offense will kill. Right? That is the thing that I think everyone needs to take a step back from. If you want to complain about the forecheck, and that's great. I know everybody wants to sit there and complain about the forecheck. The Blues didn't forecheck. The Blues didn't. Well, why didn't the Blues forecheck? And if you want to sit there and say because we didn't have the bodies to do it, bullshit. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. We had the bodies to do a forecheck. We absolutely had the bodies and the skill to do a forecheck, but we didn't. Why didn't we? Because there was a fundamental change in the offense that destroyed this team that never got fixed. When you have a fundamental flaw in your blade is going to snap. There was a fundamental flaw in the offense that caused the blade to snap. It had nothing to do with defense. It had nothing to do with the forecheck. It had nothing to do even with the neutral zone per se. It did a little bit. But there was a fundamental flaw in the offense. And I think most of you know what it was. I want to see who gets it. What was the fundamental flaw in the offense last season for the right? If you've watched any of the playoff games, especially the Vegas-Dallas game, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. Exactly what I'm talking about. Well, I guess I'm scaring everybody off because they're running away and no one's talking. But let's say thank you to Russ Tidlin, Joe Butler, John Penner, Jason Nichols, and John Hefner. I'm not sure what you mean there. No, I don't think so. I don't think, no, John, that wasn't it. Tarashenko wasn't to blame. I know everybody wants to blame Tarashenko because he's the easiest scapegoat, but it wasn't him to blame. No, Jason. Again, you're scratching the surface, but missing the deep. You're missing the deep crack. Right? You're missing the deep crack. There was a deep crack in this offense. And I talked about it a lot. And I noticed it very early in the season. Very, very early in the season, I noticed it. And it showed up a lot. Nope. Not mixed messages from Berube. Think about the Blues and how they played. Think about their offense. What did they do on offense? Think about that. Right? I'm sure. Well, I will say this. Isn't it 9 your time? Oh, it's only 8. My bad. Man, the time thing has messed me up. The time thing has messed me up. That's why. I thought 3 was 9 your time. Boy, I am so messed up right now. Well, I'll be on for a while, so when you get back, Ash, you can come on. I'll stay on longer than I normally do. I knew. There it is. Yeah, sorry, my bad. I kind of screwed up. Yeah, that's on me, Ash. I got the time zones all messed up. I got the time zones messed up again. Dum give me gum. No, it's right here. They got to a point where they would bring the puck into the top of the circle and stop. And then they would look for the back pass. Right? There was very little understanding of what the offense was supposed to be. Because if you get to that point, getting the puck to that point, see, I actually disagree with this. I think this is old school. I think this is there's flawed thinking in this, right? There's some very, very flawed thinking in this, and I'll get to that in a second, right? Well, again, that's because of what you're talking about, John, is what I think is the flawed thinking in the NHL. There's this thinking that having the puck in your zone is a bad thing, right? I think that too many teams are too concerned with getting the puck out of their zone instead of keeping the puck in your zone and forcing that team back, forcing that team to come up and open up the neutral zone and the offensive zone. When you have the puck and you're passing it forward, they go back. They cover lanes. No passing lane, you're going to give it up. That happened a lot. If you take that puck and hold it in, pass it back, move it around behind the net, and force them to come forward, to come up to the puck, what does that do? It opens up the neutral zone. It allows for that stretch pass. It allows for movement. And that's what the Blues didn't do, because what they were doing was getting, and that's what most teams don't do. I think, and that's a flawed process in the NHL in my eyes. It is a very flawed process in the NHL in my eyes. And it's one that's only going to get fixed when you get an out-of-the-box coach that starts realizing that and starts realizing that you can force teams to open the neutral zone. And then let's say they don't. Let's say they stay back. If they stay back, you're going to open speed lanes. You're going to open lanes to move the puck. If you're trying to force the puck forward into areas where there is no passing lane, it is going to get picked off. This was highly prevalent in the Dallas-Vegas series. Both Dallas and Vegas had trouble getting pucks out of their zone because instead of taking time and controlling it in their zone, they were too quick to try and get it out of their zone, which led to turnovers. Windy! Oh, I needed that. Can't believe I screwed up the time. Dum, give me gum. Oh, well, Ashley's mad at me. Sorry, Ash. I'm sorry. If I look at this season with the Blues and I sit there and go, there's no reason that they should have the 10th overall pick. Yeah, I am too. I know, Ash. I'm joking. And Chris, that right there is that flawed thinking in the system. Instead of trying to move that puck around, instead of Colt making that pass, and maybe the pass coming back, and forcing that team up. They stand there and wait for it, and then doing that, the lanes get covered. You can't do that. You have to keep that puck moving. Moving the puck. Puck movement. Puck movement will open passing lanes. Plain and simple. Movement of the puck will open passing lanes. You can come in anytime you want, Wendy. I'll shoot you a invite. I know you're happy about getting that #1 overall pick, but if I was you, I'd be very concerned about it. To be honest, I think that there are some there's some there. I don't know. I'm hoping that Chicago does a really, really good job on Connor Bedard and really looks. If I was the scouting staff on Chicago, I would. Oh man, how many of you guys are fans of the movie Draft Day? How many of you guys are fans of the movie Draft Day? Right? I want to know. I want to know how many are fans of the movie Draft Day. Let's see here. Any Draft Day fans here? Anybody know what I'm talking about? Yeah, in OT, I agree with you. In OT, I agree with you, not going back beyond the center line, or maybe not leaving the neutral zone. You can go anywhere in the neutral zone, but you can't go into your offensive zone. I think you're right there, right? My question right now, I'm asking about the movie Draft Day. There was something that happened in Draft Day. I know it's a movie, but there was something that happened that to me, is something that I'm hoping, and I really mean this, that Chicago's scouts understand and are doing. Right? Oh, there we go. Oh, what was that, Kirby Doc? I seen a Doc. I don't think it was Kirby, though. Because I don't think he can play in this. He might have been on there, but how he gave up the goal. I got the Memorial Cup on. There you go. Just what I was talking about. What I was absolutely talking about just happened. What I was absolutely talking about just happened. Oh, wow. Exactly what I was talking about just happened. Right? Exactly. Seattle tried to force a puck out of the zone with no passing lanes open, results in a turnover and a puck in the back of the net. When everything behind was open. It's so important. So in Draft Day, after Cleveland gets the #1 pick, they go, and they're trying to. They haven't done their due diligence on the #1 overall pick, the consensus #1 overall, because they didn't think that they'd had a chance at him. So when they're told to do that, what do they go and find? All right, let's see if anybody remembers. Right now it's Seattle and Kamloops It's score's 1-1. Erickson, how you doing, buddy? Haven't seen you in a while. How are you, my friend? Got a couple more likes. We got one from Gloria Sieper and Erickson Krieger. Thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. The staff of Cleveland, and you know, no one's answering me, so I'm going to put this out there. In the movie Draft Day, after they get the number 1 pick, and they're looking at Bo Callahan, the staff, the scouting staff, the coaches of Cleveland are looking at a website, how many chicks or what chicks does Bo bang or something like that. They have bought into there's no flaws in Bo's game. I think a lot of people have bought into there's no flaw in Connor Bedard's game. And I think there's a big, huge flaw in Connor Bedard's game. And one that could severely affect how well he does in the NHL. And it's been talked about a little bit, but in many cases it's been overlooked because of his points. What is that flaw? What is the flaw in Connor Bedard's game that I think's been glossed over? I'm not an oracle. This is my opinion, and I admit that. My opinion, and I'm just trying to see if other people see it or share with it or agree with it or disagree with it, whatever. But I do think that there is a huge flaw, a couple of flaws, in Connor Bedard's game that have been overlooked. Right? And it's the same thing with the movie Draft Day. There was huge flaws in Bo Callahan's game that everybody overlooked. Nah, I don't think so there, Matt Lowe, but that's a good joke. And it comes down to both those, his speed and his size. Now, he may gain an inch, maybe 2. He's listed on Wikipedia, and I don't know how up to date this is, but he's listed at 5'10" at age 17. He has a chance to grow to 6 foot. Okay? But he's 185 pounds at 5'10". At 5'10", I think that's a little light. I would like, at 5'10", I'd like to see someone closer to 195, to be honest. Right? Especially in this game, I'd like to see him have that bulk to make up for his speed. Because at 185, you should be a lot faster. And if you're not that fast at 185, have that extra bulk to make up for it. So when someone comes in and tries to nail you, you can bounce them back. You can Lori Laterra, what's his face? I can't think of his name now. Oh, who was the enforcer the Blues had? They traded away to get Clem Costin, and he ended up on the Rangers, and I think he might even be on Vegas now. No, I think I'm not sure where he's at now. No, he's not in Vegas anymore. I bet he's on the Rangers. Oh, what is his name? No, he's on. He got traded from the Rangers. He's on Minnesota. Oh, I can't think of his name. Oh, I can't think of his name. Ah, should come to me, and I can't think of it. Ah, what is his name? Now no one's watching me or listening. Reeves, that's it. Ryan Reeves, thank you. That's it, Ryan Reeves. Couldn't spit it out. Lori Laterra, smaller guy. Absolutely. We traded Reeves to get that pick. We traded Reeves to draft Clem Costin. Reeves was part of that trade to get that draft pick. We traded our pick and Ryan Reeves for, I want to say it was Sundqvist and that pick, and we used that pick to get Costin. So that's what I meant by he was traded for him. That's kind of what I meant. We got Costin for him. That's what I meant there, Matt Lowe. He may have, but I don't think at that time he did. But oh my goodness, Matt Lowe is actually admitting I'm right. Oh my goodness. I'm coming, Elizabeth. I'm coming, Elizabeth. Oh my goodness, I'm coming. I bet you nobody knows where that's from. I bet you nobody knows where that's from. That's like right on the edge of my age. Come on, who's got it? Where's that coming from? I'm coming, Elizabeth. Hefner, old ass Hefner. Come on. The guy that said it was a famous St. Louisan. Gloria got it. Sanford and Son, Red Fox. Yes, yes, yes. Right? And Red Fox from St. Louis. Oh, while we're mentioning celebrities from St. Louis, let me take a moment to remember a St. Louis in that past. Some of you don't think of her as a St. Louisan, but really that's what a lot of people think of her and where she kind of came from and came out of. But recently Tina Turner passed, and Tina Turner got her start singing in East St. Louis, in down in Laclede's Landing, in that area, in the clubs of that area in the late 50s, early 60s. The Blueberry Hill and some of that, though Blueberry Hill may not have been around there, but some of a lot of the clubs there. Yeah, Gloria, me too. Me too. Oh man, this is an interesting little battle here between Kalamazoo and Seattle. So you know, our hearts go out to Miss Turner, and if you've ever wondered about my religion, Tina Turner was in the same religion. If you ever saw the movie, What's Love Got to Do with It? There's a point there where she's chanting. That's what I do. Hey, Lance, man, how you doing, bud? I don't know if there's hate for this Stanley Cup. I haven't seen a lot of hate. Right? I mean, as far as St. Louis connections go, there's three of them. The Panthers have Matt Tkachuk, obviously, and then the Knights have Barbashev and Pietrangelo. Now, I was trying to remember this. Was Barbashev on the 19 team, or did he come after? And I can't remember. I can't remember if Barbie was part of the 19 team or not. Does anybody remember, was Barbie part of that 19 team? Or did he come, boys? Was he maybe a black ace on that? He might have been a black ace. He was on it? Okay. Saying he was huge. Maybe I'm kind of lost here. Look, I'm looking something up. For some reason, I don't know. Maybe I'm just out of it a little bit. I'm looking. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just out of it today. Okay. Yeah. He played in 25 games, so he played in almost every game but one, had 6 points. So I guess oh, he was part of what? He was part of that fourth line, wasn't he? That's why I'm kind of not paying attention to it. He was kind of that fourth line with Steen and Sundqvist. Is that right? Be part of that fourth line with Steen and Sundqvist? Yeah. Actually, they started all four of the all seven of the Stanley Cup games. That's what he started. He started all seven of the Stanley Cup games. Did he get suspended, or did Sundqvist get suspended? I know Sonny got suspended. I don't remember him getting suspended. I don't remember Barbashev getting suspended during that playoff. I know he missed the game because we played 26 games, but he could have been a healthy scratch too. I just don't remember. Uh, no, 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 no. They don't say anything here, and I don't know where to list where you can find penalties for these guys, but suspension, so it's not listed anywhere. Uh, yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember him getting a game. I knew Sundqvist did. Sundqvist got suspended for game 3, but I didn't remember Barbie get. Maybe he did. I just don't remember. right? We should have Wendy coming on here soon. I'm looking. I want to figure this out. Maybe Hockey Reference will have it. June 7th, 2019, suspended for a legal check to the head of Marcus Johansson. So that would have been in the finals. That would have been in the finals. That would have been game 5, maybe? You know what, Mike? I haven't yet. I haven't yet. I kind of backed off on that. I've been doing some other things. No, Erickson, I think I will. I think I will. I'll do it as many games as I can. I'm not sure if I can do it Saturday's game. But I will try. He did. He got suspended for, what was it, a cross check, I said? Illegal check to the head of Marcus Johansson. And that would have been probably game 5, if I remember right. Hey, Nick.
What's up?
How you doing, bud?
Doing all right.
Did you see that goal that Kalamazoo scored?
No. I don't pay attention to Kalamazoo.
Well, I mean, that's who you're watching right now.
No?
Isn't that who's playing in the...
That's not... No.
Who's playing?
Kamloops.
Okay, well,
It's
I thought it was
Seattle
Kalamazoo.
Kamloops.
Okay, Kamloops. Did you see the goal that Kamloops scored?
Yeah, I was watching them.
Right? That goal, I mean, it's so interesting. That goal, I was talking about that exact type of play and how too many teams try and force the puck forward instead of taking it back in their own zone and getting better control in their own zone before they try and come out and opening up some of those passing lanes.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's exactly what happened there. And the thing is that's what all teams do. It's the archaic thinking in the NHL that you have to get it out of your zone. And I don't think you have to get it out of your zone.
Yeah.
I think you have to control it much more than get it out of your zone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, we haven't talked since Chicago won the draft lottery. And if you're not a fan of Chicago, you think the lottery was rigged. And believe it or not, I don't. The only
They showed all
issue
the-
I had was the guy with the book shouted Chicago before the commissioner even got the numbers out of his mouth.
Because he knew who it was by looking it up. He was looking up the combos during the balls coming up.
Yeah, but with the other one, he didn't have it that quick. So I mean, it was kind of funny that he had it so quick. But I don't think it was rigged. I mean, it's not like Chicago wasn't. I mean, the top three teams had. I think I figured it out. 48% chance of getting that number one.
Yeah, the Hawks had a higher chance of moving down or moving up than staying at position where they were originally at.
In the third spot.
Yep.
Yeah, I seen that. I was not surprised that they got called or either way. It made sense to me.
Right? I was super happy. I would just say that.
Huh?
I'm just waiting until they officially announce Connor Bedard as a Chicago Blackhawks.
You're not scared of Bedard at all.
No.
You don't see any flaws in his game.
No. That's how good of a player he is.
Really?
Yes.
He's 185 pounds at 5'10", and I think he was listed at the 19th or 20th fastest player in the league. He does not have, for his size, does not have a lot of speed.
His game is made with his scoring touch and puck moving ability. His game's not built for the speed. It's built for puck moving and high scoring threat offense. And that's what Connor Bedard is.
You don't think in the NHL he's going to get knocked on his ass and not be able to move that puck?
Trust me, Bedard gets around player. He is one player that tends to not get hit. He knows how to not get hit.
Amongst players that are much slower than him.
And amongst players that are faster than him.
The speed of the NHL is going to be so much more than what he's used to playing against. I think he's going to struggle mightily in the NHL for at least 2 or 3 years.
I frankly don't think he's going to struggle, especially if the Hawks do it right by when they draft Bedard, they play him with Lucas Reichel as his wingmate and maybe play Taylor Radish or sign someone that brings a little bit height, like size to the line, because both Reichel and Bedard are about the same height, but Reichel has speed and is a good puck mover by passing over. He feeds the puck more than he shoots. It would be a perfect pairing with Reichel and Bedard next season.
I just think that, I don't know, for some reason I look at Bedard and when everyone touts a guy is when I start getting scared. Because look at last year. Up until the day before the draft, how deep everyone said that draft was, and how Shane Wright.
No one was saying last year's draft.
Oh, yes, they were, bud. Yes, they were. Go back and watch all the pre-draft shows, and up until the day before the draft, you kept hearing about, especially during the season. I remember during the season, this draft is deep. I remember during the shortened season, no, next year's draft is so deep. Not this year, it's next year. Next year.
People were saying it was the year following after this past year's draft. Last year's draft was weaker, as the fact a lot of the OHL players in that draft missed a full season of play. Compared to this year's draft, those players that are in the draft got to play that full season that was missed by the OHLers from last year. That's where it stands. This year's draft is a much deeper forward draft. You have a lot of forward talent coming out of this year's draft that could be higher rated players if they were drafted last year. Because a lot of the players last year would not go in the top 10 if that were in the top 10 last year, would not even touch top 10 in this year's draft.
I just know what I heard, and I remember it so heavy about how deep that draft with Shane Wright was, and Shane Wright ends up going number 4.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then he struggled in the NHL, and one of the knocks on him was what? Size and speed.
Wright didn't struggle. It was the fact Seattle didn't know what to do with him. They couldn't send him down to the AHL, where likely he would thrive down in the AHL last year if he was allowed to. He was stuck to having to either be sent back to the OHL or stay in the NHL. And I feel like that's what hurt Shane Wright. Shane Wright was not NHL ready last year.
Then they should have left him in the OHL and never brought him up to begin with.
They gave, I think they really wanted to truly try it, but I feel like they figured it out. Just let Wright play down in the OHL for one more season. Next year, they'll call him up. He's going to probably be a full-timer in the NHL next year after another solid season down in the O. I feel like Wright will be up in the NHL next season.
We'll see. I'm not sold. I'm not sold on Bedard. I think that when you look at a guy that's 5'10" at 17, 18, maybe he gets another inch or two.
He going into the draft for Connor Bedard with the fact his size is a concern part for where you're coming from. A player with size that had that same concern who got a first overall selection is Patrick Kane. And Kane turned out perfect when it comes to on-ice play.
I get what you're saying. Kane filled out though, right? Didn't he gain a couple inches?
Bedard's not even fully 18 yet. He has time to grow into his body and develop.
But he's already at 5'10". What is the ideal weight at 5'10"?
It's hard to say honestly because it depends on the build of the player. Because
I know what I was at 5'10", and I guarantee you it wasn't 185 pounds.
Oh, I was nowhere near. When I was 5'10", I was honestly about 145. I will say
I was
that.
155. Right? I was in that 145 to 155 range. That's what I was when I went. Actually, I went into the Navy at 6 foot. At 6 foot, 150.
Mm-hmm.
At 5'10", he's 185 pounds. Don't you see that being a little overweight?
I don't think so because he's been playing hockey so much. That's muscle mass.
I hope it is. I really do. I don't know. There's something with him that when everybody loves on some guy so much, look at when Jamie Rivers came in, right? Jamie Rivers led the OHL in scoring.
He wasn't a highly sought after prospect going into his draft year though.
He led the OHL in scoring. He scored what, like 10 goals in the NHL?
Yeah, but he was still never a highly sought after prospect going into his draft year.
I think he was, a 7th round pick or something like that? 6th or 7th round pick?
Yeah.
Right, something like that. Might have even been later than that. He might have been in when they had later picks. Yes, muscle mass does weigh more than fat. That is true.
Yeah.
Jason, before you complain about the off days, first of all, the NHL came out and said when the finals were going to start and gave 2 dates. And it depended on Game 5. if Vegas didn't want the extra days off, they should have won game 4 or game 5. The fact that they didn't and pushed it to game 6, that made it go to the start of the 3rd. So, you know, the TV is what sets that. So I don't have any issue with the days off.
I'm just worried for the Panthers going into the Cup final, as they are going into the Cup final with 10 days off, and usually the team who has the longer break time between the conference final and the Cup final, the last 9 out of 10 Stanley Cups, the winner was the team with the least break time between the conference final and the Cup final.
In fact, the last team that I could think of that had that big of a break, Boston.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Boston swept and St. Louis went 6 games.
Mm-hmm.
There was a pretty good break there. All right, but Boston ended up winning the first game.
Yeah. I will say this. I'm hoping for the Florida Panthers to win the Stanley Cup. I'm not saying who's going to win the Stanley Cup because I don't want to jinx anything.
I don't care. I just want it to be a good series.
The Panthers have always been my second team in the NHL. I've always supported the Panthers, but they are never close to the Chicago Blackhawks in my fandom.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see them actually have a successful playoff run the way they are, especially since the Blackhawks have a slight hand in that playoff run they have.
Which this one?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, because if they
don't beat
Pittsburgh,
now, right?
Huh?
This second to last game of the regular season led to the Hawks winning that game, knocking out the Pittsburgh Penguins, giving the Panthers the playoff berth, and the Hawks ended up at 3rd overall, getting Connor Bedard.
What? With the Panthers' success in this, what do you attribute it to the most? I've heard so many different things, and I know what I attribute it to.
Well, Bobrovsky has played. He turned back the clock back to Bobrovsky of when he was winning Vezinas every other year. And the fact the team has a structure to their game. It's their structure and goaltending, how they are playing with the success.
I put it more on the goaltending than I do the structure. Way more on the goaltending, because prior to Bobrovsky coming in, they were about to be bounced.
Yeah.
I mean, and they didn't change the structure in any games after that. And even in those series with that same structure, they were 1-goal games per much.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they were 1-goal games. I mean, there was a one that was I read it earlier. You know, game 5 I think was the 6-4 game, was a shootout. But when it comes down to it, you know, it was Bobrovsky, and then you look at the series against Toronto and the series against Carolina. Yeah. That was much more Bobrovsky than it was anything else.
Well, also you have to give the Panthers a lot of credit when it comes to that Carolina series. Honestly, they had the better. They look like they're the better conditioned team.
Yeah, for that 7-game or that 7-period. Game.
Because when it got to like the second overtime, you could tell the Panthers were still the better skaters on the ice.
I'll agree with that. It looked like Carolina by the end of the second, the overtime, they were cooked.
Oh yeah,
and you could tell it even when they were coming back in.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing there.
Now the Stanley Cup Final patch, how they are putting them on the jerseys look horrible. I am just saying.
I haven't seen it.
Here, I have it on my phone.
Oh, next to because of the I wish it
Stupid
was on the other side.
advertisements.
Yeah, I wish it was on the other side.
They should. This is what the NHL should have done: just take off the advertisement patch on the jerseys when they are in the Cup final, because they had the teams in the Winter Classic remove their advertisement patches as well.
Yeah,
Do the same thing in the Cup final. The Cup final is more important than the Winter Classic.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I think they should have. But it's also the Winter Classic is 1 game vice 4 to 7 games.
Yeah, but the thing with the Panthers and Golden Knights, they only wear advertisement patches, where the Panthers wear it on the road only. They don't have one on their home jersey. The Golden Knights only have it on their home jersey.
Okay, yeah. I can see that.
They could have removed the patch.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. That's advertising. It's what it's going to be in the NHL for now. And it's for me. I think that until we get an out of the box GM, a real good out of the box GM, but we're going to have some of these issues that we're having. Right. What do you think about the Toronto's new GM?
Tree Living, well, he's not afraid to blow up a core as he did it with last year.
Yeah.
But the thing with Toronto, he has to deal with the upper management more, which Toronto is too backwards and have 3 owners on their team. You have the GM, he goes to Brendan Shanahan. Shanahan goes to the 3 owners on the board. The owners then go to Shanahan, and then Shanahan goes back to Tree Living. Let the GM actually work compared to doing it that way.
What would you do to fix Toronto? I know what I would do.
I would blow up the core.
Who would you trade?
Personally, I would say I would trade Austin Matthews. He would bring the most value, but if they can't do that, I would if they out of the 4 players on that core of Matthews, Tavares, Nylander, and Marner, I frankly say Tavares needs to go. He's not a good captain, and he doesn't show up in the playoffs. Matthews,
Tavares would be my number 1. I would put Matthews at number 4 of those 4 players.
I would get rid of Matthews. I personally don't think Matthews works when it comes to playoff hockey. He's not a playoff hockey player.
But no, none of those 4 are, and I think that the reason
Nylander
is because
does. Nylander has his when he goes into the playoffs, he's the one that puts up the points. Unlike Tavares, Matthews, and Marner, all those guys vanish. But Nylander is the only one that shows up to play when it comes to games that matter.
Mine would be, I get what you're saying, but mine would have been Tavares, Nylander, Marner, Matthews.
Okay.
Right? Because Matthews scores goals.
He may score goals.
Matthew scores goals. Matthew, and you know what? If you're not scoring goals, you're not going to win games. And if you don't win games, you're not going to get to the playoffs.
If you aren't scoring goals in the playoffs, you aren't winning cups.
I think you got to get to the playoffs before you win a cup, and you can work on you can make him a better playoff player.
I don't think he. Goal
scorers don't grow on trees. You can't go find me another 60 goal scorer available right now.
You will next year, because there's several of them going to the market.
Who?
Stamkos, Matthews, they're both free agents next year.
I thought Matthews already had his contract.
Nope. He does not have a contract extension. His contract ends at the end of next season, and when it does, he's a free agent and he can walk.
Oh, he will walk. But I think he's got a no trade, doesn't he?
His no trade clause comes into effect on July 1st of this summer. So the Maple Leafs need to either sign him now or risk the fact he could leave next off season.
I
And
mean,
yeah,
that's Trevelyan's.
Nylander
That's
does
what's
get shit on during any time by Maple Leaf fans. I would be, I personally would say, I would love William Nylander in a Blackhawk jersey. He has a good work ethic, and it would work perfectly in Chicago. They have the money to do it too.
Let me say a big thank you to Brandon Wright and Lance Tilly for putting them thumbs in the air. We greatly appreciate it, guys. Thank you so
Will the Seattle
much.
game get back up and running?
Yeah, it is. It is still 1-0 with 15:52 to go. 4-on-4 for 48 more seconds.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to get going. So thanks for having me. Bye.
No problem, man. Talk to you later.
All right.
Bye, bud. Well, I was waiting on Ashley, but I guess she stopped listening or dealing with the kids, so she can't come on. So I guess I'm going to end up calling it a night. Great show, man. I had a lot of fun. Thanks for showing up. I seen something on Facebook today. One of the Kevin Dixon put something, do something today to make somebody smile. I'm hoping that me doing the show made a few people smile out there. If you did, thumbs up to you. Thank you so much. Show me a smiley face. Come on. If I made you smile today, show me a smiley face before I go away. I never make Matt Lowe smile, so. Because I honestly don't care, bud. I really don't. I just hope for a good series. I'm not rooting one side or the other. I do think that Vegas should win it, but Bravosky could steal it. Oh, Stephen Glass is listening. Hey, Steve, didn't know you were there. How you doing, bud? He gave me a smile. Gloria gave me a smile. Thank you so much. At least I was able to put a smile on somebody's. Hey, by the way, if you are in the St. Louis area and you know somebody that Ubers regularly, that not maybe a full-time, but is a gold or diamond driver, please put them in contact with me. I need to find out some information. I am going to St. Louis this late summer, early fall. I'm waiting for the schedule to come out to set my days. I want to be home for the home opener, but it depends on how late in October it's going to be. I'm looking for some other things, but what I'm planning on doing while I'm there is if you have a good enough level in Uber, you can go to a rental car service and rent a car. It's specific, and use that car for Uber. And that's what I plan on doing in St. Louis. But I need to know a little bit more about Uber in St. Louis. So I'm looking for some people so they can help me out and help set me up. Unfortunately, in the app, it will only let me look up a rental car for the area that I'm in. I also have a great idea for a book and something that I'm going to work on once I move home and see if I could make this feasible. But the book would be called Uber America. And what I would do, I would pick 52 cities and I would take a car and every week go to a different city and do Uber in that city and write about it. How many of you guys think that's a cool idea? I've told some people about it and they like it. I think for me it'd be a lot of fun, but one thing, like I know if I'm Ubering in St. Louis, I have to get a dashboard cam. No matter what, have to have one and have to make sure that it's set up to find one that's cloudable, that I can upload it to the cloud while I'm driving. Actually, it's not that expensive. What your driving covers your expenses. You could really cover your week in one day. In all actuality, you could cover your week in a day You could cover your week in 1 or 2 days of Ubering and move on. You would have to stay. You would have to watch how you're staying, because I do know some Airbnbs can get expensive, and you'd have to really be heavy on the Uber. I mean, you'd have to really. I mean, you can make between $1,500 and $2,500 a week, but that's doing it 7 days a week. And you got to remember that one day, so you only have 6 days to do it. So it can be done. It's just got to be done right. But the stories, I think the stories would be amazing. That's what I might enjoy. And it would really, help my writing and help my dictation and some other things. John, I don't want a full-time job, bud. And you need to understand that with a full-time job, I can't do this show, and I don't want a job paying junk. I work jobs paying 80 grand. I'm not going to go work a job paying 20. I did that. I did something. Like I worked for Pizza Hut and Bite Squad when it was a regular company, or it went to what it is now, and I hated it. Right? I got screwed on those jobs all the time. Managers who just, I had a manager at Pizza Hut that, everything was his way or the highway. And I watched him screw people over. I watched him screw me over, and I called him out on it a couple of times. In fact, I got to the point where I told him, either you give me more hours or I'm going to file a complaint against you. You know what, John? I don't want a GS rate. I don't want that. I really don't. And my mental state can't handle that. And not only that, it's going to take away from this, especially when I move back home. So, not what I'm looking for. I like the freedom of being my own boss. So, guys, I guess I'm going to call it a night. Almost an hour and 25 minutes into this. Most people are gone. Chris Shockey threw his in there. Thank you so much, Chris. I greatly appreciate you for the thumbs up. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen at all. Okay, guys, have a great one. Love each and every one of you. Enjoy your day. Enjoy it greatly. Have a great one. I'll be back probably Saturday. I might do game one. Have to figure it out a little bit, but we'll go from there. Guys, enjoy your day. Talk to you later. This is Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan, saying aloha mahalo, and you gotta know what?
Hawaii Blues fan, we're bleeding blue with you.
Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues!
Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues!